Hi there, this is Becky Gifford. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and creator of thesocialstamper.com. I'd like to take a minute to introduce you to Stampin' Up's Big Shot machine. This is a paper crafting powerhouse, and it's our die cutting and embossing machine. There is definitely a place for electronic cutters in the paper crafting world, but the nice thing about the Big Shot is it can cut things out, certainly, just like an electronic cutter, but it can also do embossing, which gives really great texture to some cardstock. Additionally, it's a little bit more portable because it just uses hand crank operation versus electricity. So you have a little bit more options if you're having a crop night or getting together with friends and there's maybe not enough outlets around the table for everybody to have their electronic cutters. This machine is for you. When you get your Big Shot die cutting and embossing machine, it's going to come with a few things. It's going to come with this multi-purpose platform that allows you to use different thicknesses of dies and embossing mediums like embossing folders or impressions pads. It will also come with a pair of cutting mats. You can see my cutting mat, this top one's gotten some use out of it. It's normal for the dies to make an impression in the pad. These pads are technically consumable, although they last a really long time, so you can replace these as they get worn out. This bottom one has not been used really hardly at all, so I'm going to put that on the bottom. Let me show you first how to do embossing with this machine. That's actually the reason why I was drawn to the Big Shot initially, is because I already had an electronic cutting machine, so I was more interested in using a machine for some embossing because it gives some gorgeous texture to otherwise plain Jane cardstock. So when you're using the Big Shot, you're always going to think about making a sandwich. First, you're going to have some type of multi-purpose platform down, or our magnetic platform if you're using a framelits die. And there are some dies that have the platform built in. Obviously, you won't need to use the platform for that, but for any thin materials, you're going to be using a platform. So platform goes down first, then you're going to sandwich your materials in between the cutting pads. So I'm going to lay that cutting pad down. Pick up my Textured Impressions embossing folder. This is our Modern Mosaic Impressions folder. A plain piece of cardstock, whatever you're using on your project, and fold the cardstock into the embossing folder. I'm going to set that down, layer the other cutting pad on top, slide everything into the machine until you can see the handle kind of work up on its own. That means it's engaged. Press down lightly here just to keep the machine from moving. The machine does have rubber feet as opposed to suction cups on the bottom, so you don't need a very smooth surface. In fact, there is some texture to this table that I'm using. So it's not gonna go anywhere. You just need gentle pressure on the top so it doesn't wiggle as much. And I'll open the embossing folder, and there you go. You have this really gorgeous textured cardstock. Stampin' Up! Has lots and lots of options for embossing folders. There's polka dots, there's mosaics, there's stripes, there's chevrons, lots and lots of different options to suit your crafting fancy. But this is one of my favorite folders. I like the mosaics. Let me set that aside for a second. And I'm going to show you how to cut out a tag using the Big Shot. I'm going to set this aside for just a minute. This is Whisper white cardstock, just a plain piece of cardstock. I'm going to open my ink pad and set that down. And then this stamp is from our Chalk Talk stamp set. I love this stamp set because chalkboard is just really popular right now and I like the look of it. So I'm going to ink that stamp good. Well, stamp my tag just like that. Then this is the magnetic platform. It's sold separately from the Big Shot, but I would highly, highly recommend it if you're going to be cutting out anything with framelits dies because it just gives you a much more precise cut. So I'm going to put the magnetic platform down. Again, we're going to be making a sandwich with our cutting platform, so I'm going to put that. And then, well, let me switch this. I'm going to put the pad with the divots in it on the bottom. Put that down. These are our coordinating Chalk framelits dies, excuse me. I put magnetic strip behind my dies. It just helps them all stay in place on this little piece of cardstock. So this is the coordinating die to that stamp image. And I'm gonna set this down. You'll feel it just kind of click in place. There we go, because it's magnetic, and you can still shift it around until you're happy with the placement. I'm gonna sandwich again my other cutting surface on top, engage it in the machine, crank it through. You'll hear clicking, that's normal. It's gonna have some resistance, but you shouldn't feel a ton of resistance. If you feel a ton of resistance, check and make sure that you're using the right thickness on your multi-purpose platform and for the right die that you're using. And there you go, it just cut out a tag that quickly and that easily. So you can use this on a card, you can attach it to a package. It just does so much, this little machine. It is my favorite paper crafting tool, and I really can't even hardly stamp a project without it anymore. So I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about the Big Shot. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments section. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can see more paper crafting inspiration. Thanks for watching.